DJ PK, and we're joined by Angelique Chengelis, Michigan beat writer for the Detroit News. Angelique, good morning. Welcome to the show.
Good morning. I wish I were there in person, but this is great. Thank you for having me on.
Well, Kyle Whittingham's a little bit of a story, and so's, like half the staff, and so's several of the transfers they took with them. How is the transition going in your estimation?
I think based on what the players say, the players who returned from Michigan from last year, they seem to, it's been seamless, and they've also really responded to a heavy dose of discipline and just a new way of approaching things, because it was pretty chaotic, as I think you might know, last year at Michigan. And in the 2 years under Sharon Moore, it was definitely a little more lax. And I think that the players are really responding to Whittingham and his staff bringing in just, a little more demanding. But, players also like the fact that practices are efficient and shorter, and meetings are efficient and shorter. And, they're not wasting time. They're focused. And I think that's what they're all responding to.
Oh, yeah, that is Whittingham to a T. We're older guys. Myself, I had kids his age, and we live in the same neighborhood. I went golf with him a bunch, and worked at the Salt Lake Tribune before I transferred over to radio. So I was a beat guy, and we've gotten to know him inside and out for sure. And one of the things that I always said in covering his program was that, this is usually a random example, October 20th at 2 p.m., every player, once he got in the program, and all the staff members, they knew full well October 20th at 2 p.m., they were doing the same thing when he got the job 20 years ago as they were last year. And the point I'm making is the structure was always the same, and the identity was, you knew exactly what you were supposed to do, when you were supposed to do it, and how to do it. And when you speak of that, I knew that's what he would bring to Michigan. And it seems like from the outside, with all the chaos, that is something that they very much needed.
Oh, absolutely. And even before that, Harbaugh was here for 9 years. His schedules were a little more not scattered, but he would try to catch the players off guard. So they would have to wait. And I think his philosophy was, I want them to not be running around. I want them to have to wait for this text to find out what time practice is tomorrow. And I'm thinking more camp versus during the season. And, I also think that younger people in general really do want boundaries, and they do want structure. And that's what I think that they've craved, and that's what I think Whittingham has brought. And they really have, he's got a horn that sounds, I think meetings at 8 a.m., it sounds at 7:45, which means you're late. So they like that. They laugh about it, but they like that. And they like structure, and I can't emphasize enough that is what was missing just wholesale last year, and that's what these players really wanted.
When Rich Rodriguez was at Arizona, we had him on the show, and we got to talk to him a little bit about the time at Michigan. And obviously, Rich Rod knows a lot about football. So the issues weren't so much about football, but it was cultural, it was fit, it was relating to fans and boosters, and this whole thing about hating Ohio State. It seemed to me like, well, that's the kind of thing, not exactly, but that's the kind of thing that helped get Rich Rod off on the wrong foot. Now, he didn't win enough. There were other issues off the field, so it wasn't just this, but it was clear that Rich Rod culturally something happened there. Can you evaluate that and what this latest comment about Ohio State means or doesn't mean to the fan base?
Yeah, look, I remember going to Rich's first press conference. I liked Rich. He was the hot coach. Alabama hired him the year before, and he had issues with his AD at West Virginia, wanted a break, and came to Michigan. And I remember thinking when I walked out of there, yeah, this is going to set Michigan back 10 years. And it was more like a dozen, really. I just could tell this was not going to fit. I've been covering the team since 1992, so I got a sense of what Michigan is about. And, I think that's been a curious thing for me watching Whittingham. I asked him the first press conference in December about Ohio State, because that's what you do at Michigan. You ask them about Ohio State. It's your biggest rival. It's the game. I grew up in Ohio. I love the game. And, he just right away didn't he grasped it, but but I'm like, okay, that's his first first press conference, cut him some slack. And, as it's gone on, I think he makes sense. You don't have to hate the person to be competitive. Of course he wants to win it. But, you see what Cignetti did when he first got the job, and he's talking to the crowd at Indiana basketball and basically trashing Ohio State and Michigan and Purdue, everybody. And he's got that swagger and everybody likes. You go way back to Jim Tressel when he first got the job, and he announces that in however many days before the game against Michigan, Ohio State's going to show up and be this team that everybody wants to see. So fans rally around that. I think Whittingham has sort of tamped that down a little bit, but I don't doubt he gets a rivalry. He played in the Holy War, coached in the Holy War, and so I think he gets it, but I'm not sure he gets it yet. And
right.
And I threw in a story the other day about Rich Rod. When he first got here, a fan gave him a Beat Ohio State button that he kept on his desk, and as a reminder. And I'm thinking, you don't need a reminder. But to all this point, Jim Harbaugh took until 2021. He wouldn't talk about Ohio, he wouldn't separate it as a great rival until 21, and then he started bringing it up, and then obviously they had success after that.
I like what he said the other day. He was brought up, and when it happened down in Chicago. We came back and I said, "Oh, he's going to take some heat for that." About not just hating them with a passion of 1,000 suns and all that stuff. And we talked about it. I said, it's kind of silly, but I think he's going to take heat about it. And then I saw this week, and his response was, "Well, if I hate him, is it going to help us beat him?" And how was that received? Because he got that look on his face, and I know that look of he doesn't really understand what's going on, and he's almost to the point of being miffed about it. How about the recent thing when he said, "Well, if I hate him, how's that going to help us beat them by more," or whatever he said there?
Yeah, I listened to that and I thought, that actually kind of makes sense. But I played recreational competitive tennis, and I would go into every match saying, "I hate this person across the net," and then afterwards I was fine. And look, I've covered the game for many years, and you talk to the players, and yes, they hate each other preparing for the game. They hate each other on game day, but wow, they have a lot of respect for each other. And I think if he goes that route, but he's not going to say he hates Ryan Day, and that's fine. I mean, Jim Harbaugh took heat for making that, Ryan Day. He didn't say Ryan Day, but we all knew he was saying Ryan Day was born on third base. And so that created a lot of maybe unnecessary friction and pettiness in the rivalry. But the Michigan fans loved it. It was something that they're like, yeah, that's our coach. He's saying those things. But, yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, I get it. Whittingham has so much on his plate right now. And I think in my mind, that's what he's wondering. Shouldn't everybody be focused on game 1 and not game 12? And, yeah, we understand what Ohio State means in Columbus, of all places, to play your first Michigan-Ohio State game. But what about focusing on now? And that was the vibe I got from him, is that, they do have the signs up in the building. What are you doing today to prepare for Ohio State, to beat Ohio State? So it's there, and the players know. And my sense is that Whittingham, by then, will really understand what it means.
I did see a post on one of the social media, and a guy said, "Give him a break. He's brand new. He can't hate him yet, but it won't take long because they're them."
That might be so, but he's close with Urban Meyer, and Urban Meyer is a great Ohio State coach, and I do wonder sometimes, do Michigan fans, are they tired of him mentioning Urban Meyer, because he's someone that Michigan fans I think really did not care for. And, so maybe that relationship, he doesn't, because of that, he's not going to hate Ohio State in that sense. But he is going to want to beat them. I mean, there's no doubt. He's going to want to win every game. Every coach is out like that, and they'll all say that. But, I mean, I that's the only person I can compare him to is Rich Rod, is the first guy who didn't play at Michigan or coach at Michigan prior to becoming a head coach. And, he'll get it. I think Rich maybe was a little more stubborn in that sense, but I don't think Whittingham is.
A lot of folks think of Utah as out in the middle of nowhere, a bunch of backwood people and all that stuff. I'm wondering, because I was born and raised in New Jersey, so I could relate to it, but I wonder, how does and my wife's mother actually is from the Detroit area, so she's got tons of people there. We've been there many times, and I wonder, how do all these people just react to all these folks from Utah now being in the Michigan program?
That's a great question. And I haven't gotten a sense from fans or people in Ann Arbor that, it feels different, I will say, than when Rich came. And I can't put my finger on it. I mean, it was, he's coming from West Virginia. He had an accent, and he would say words that didn't exist, like irregardless. And Michigan fans would pick up on that. And, I don't think Kyle Whittingham and his staff, most of whom are from Utah. I mean, Harding is from Toledo originally, so they have that. His wife is from nearby here, Farmington Hills. But Utah is distant. I've been there Harbaugh's first game was at Utah, and I covered a basketball game there. The place is stunning. It's a beautiful, beautiful place, and it does feel far away. And that's, my thing is, does the staff, the Big Ten is a little different animal now, especially with the addition of those 4 Pac-12 teams that I suspect they're very familiar with. And, I don't think people are like, oh my God. And if you're saying, there's an issue, there are Mormons, and is there a church in Ann Arbor? I believe there is. And, so I don't think that that's been an issue with fans. And, they just want to win, and they just want to beat Ohio State and beat Michigan State too. I mean, they've got Pat Fitzgerald there now, and he's definitely revving up the Spartans and getting them motivated for their season and for playing Michigan. So I am really interested to see how Whittingham and his staff respond to the in-state rivalry in Ohio State, but also the challenge of the Big Ten and this schedule with Oklahoma coming. This is a brutal first year, I think, for him and this staff.
So assess the first year. What do you think the administration, which seems to be ever-changing, the boosters and the fans would label a successful year? Where is the bar set?
I think the bar, to me, I've got them. I'm thinking 7-5, 8-4, and I'm probably going to settle on 8-4. I think a lot of people would be very happy with 9 wins. I hear people, you get more excited they were on the Big Ten Network last night. They were visiting Michigan's camp, and you see, different plays that are made in the background. And people get more excited as the season gets closer, and they're talking college football playoff. He's got to make the college football playoff. And I thought Whittingham was very smart at Big Ten Media Days, and not setting the bar too low, but just saying, look, year 2 is really when things will click. And, this is a new offensive coordinator, a new defensive coordinator. So there's a lot of new going on here. And, so I think 9 wins is what a lot of people are hoping for. And 10 would be a nice bonus. But I just think realistically looking at this schedule and really not knowing, we don't know a lot about what Bryce Underwood is going to look like. And we can, be told that he's making improvements, but, what does that mean? And so that's why I think 8-4 seems to me a reasonable prediction for this season.
Yeah, we had on Tim Brando the other day, and he was saying that he didn't think it was going to go well, and that I was surprised. Because it's still Michigan, and going well, I guess, is relative. So 8-4, is that going well?
No, I don't think it's going well. I think it's a reasonable expectation for a first year. And Whittingham has had to come into a situation that he had to clean up. There was a lot, there was a mess. And now, as you mentioned, changing administrations, Michigan is looking for a new president. They're going to be looking for a new athletic director. Warren Manuel will be out by the end of the year. So there is a lot of that on that end. What I understand is he has been tireless in terms of, and I'm talking about Whittingham, in terms of visiting with donors and raising money. And it's an embarrassment of riches, I think, for Whittingham right now with the money that Michigan has for this football program, what they've raised for NIL, plus the revenue share. So I think that he has talked a lot about that, about the talent. And I think you're seeing some of that success translating to their recruiting and landing a lot of really top recruits. So I think there's so much on his plate right now. I think, when you look at Oklahoma in week 2, and then you've got Indiana coming here, and they go on the road to Oregon late, and then Ohio State. To me, those are the 4 losses. That's what and there's part of me that thinks that they could lose a game that they shouldn't lose, like at Minnesota or Iowa in Ann Arbor. I mean, Iowa, that defense can always be extremely, extremely suffocating. So I just think 8 wins in my mind is a very reasonable start to his coaching career at Michigan. And as he said, year 2 is when you really start having greater expectations for the program, because then Underwood's a sophomore, and he started as a young freshman last year, and he's got to see how he adapts to Jason Beck. And he's had a lot of training in LA with Palmer and trying to fix his footwork, all these things. But those aren't just wave a wand and they're fixed. So I think that's why he's sort of pointing. I don't think he was saying, yeah, just this is a wash this year. But I think he's pointing to year 2 as that's when you're really going to see what they're capable of.
Have you had a chance to interact with Jay Hill much?
A little bit. I mean, he's been to 2 press conferences, and he's been on a couple of the in-house podcasts that Michigan has, and he's talked about what a difficult he wants this. He believes this is the most challenging defense, the most complicated defense in the country, and I asked him about that the other day, and he said he's got about, I think, 65 to 70% install, and that's probably where they're maxing out this year. So I think he feels good about what he has. I think linebacker is thin, and that's going to be an issue, but they feel really good about their defensive line and their secondary. So, but he seems pretty pleased with the talent he has inherited here and what he brought. With Daly and Snowden. So I think they feel really good about the personnel.
You were on our show September 24th, 2015. Do you believe that?
Yeah, that was Jim's. That was right before Jim's first game, right? Yeah.
So what I want you to do is next time you get up with Whittingham, tell him you're on the DJ PK show and tell him we miss him dearly. He'll get a kick out of that.
I will definitely do that. And I remember that trip. It was great. But then I decided to drive to Park City, and I wasn't prepared for the altitude, so I had to pull off the road, and, it didn't feel so great.
Oh, really? Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not tough enough yet. We don't have any mountains here. We don't have any, it's too flat here, so I got to work on that.
Well, Angelique, we appreciate a few minutes. Thanks for joining us, and say hello to any of the Utah people you talk to.
I will definitely do that. Thank you so much.
All right, Angelique Chengelis, the Michigan beat writer for the Detroit News, joining us right here on The Zone. Way to look that up. We'd had her on before. I wondered about that, whether I should welcome her back to the show or just welcome her to the show.
11 years ago. I mean, irregardless of the time that's gone by, I feel like I know her.
How did you not bring that back up? Come on.
Hey, why don't you call up our Facebook page, DJ and PK, right now, and
look at the header.
See what the first word is that comes to mind.
I would have treated Rich Rod differently when he was at the U of A if I would have known.
It's a whole new level of respect. That is awesome. All right, coming up, top of the hour, Eric Pincus, national NBA writer for Bleacher Report on the sale of the Lakers and what does this mean? We will get to that at 9 o'clock. Stay with us. DJ and PK, we just talked with the Detroit News beat writer for the University of Michigan about how the transition's going with Kyle Whittingham, Jay Hill, the rest of the staff, the players there. I'm a little surprised she said 7-5 and 8-4. I thought 9-3 would be the minimum that anyone in Michigan would ever be happy with at any time. Now maybe she's just being more reasonable than the vast majority of people in Michigan.
Well, I can't speak for the vast majority of people in Michigan, but I can speak for her after listening to what she said, and that's what she was talking about. She's trying to come up with reasonable expectations, and that's what she settled on. Yeah. Okay.
We have a question up on our Facebook. Does Kyle Whittingham deserve to be questioned on if he hates Ohio State enough?
Yes.
Absolutely.
I think he does. And I've got no problem with his response because they're going to be leery. When you have a complete and total outsider that's going to raise suspicions. We would do it here. If Utah hired
Urban Meyer,
somebody.
I mean, we did it here.
Yeah, I don't know that I'd go Urban.
Really?
Because we knew that Urban was a salesman. And from the second he got here, the countdown was on as when he would leave.
It was one of the better press conferences for the local media. I wasn't involved. I was listening to it on the radio. Other people were assigned to go to it, but I thought...
Well, that's a mistake
really
right
good.
there. You should have been assigned.
Well, maybe, but I thought...
14-time City Weekly Sportscaster of the Year.
I thought even though it was the, at the podium and you don't get the follow-up questions from one reporter, it's bouncing around, I thought it was on point. And he got asked about liking it here, and he got asked about staying here, and we all know how it played out and the answers. And
just
people
look at Utah State. I think Utah State is the best example.
Certainly seen it there.
They keep bringing these people in from out of state. And do you know anything about this place?
Yeah.
Because this place ain't the run of the mill. And then I hear one coach's wife hates it here. Why the crap did you take the job? It didn't make any sense. And she's whining from day one. And then another coach, the social life isn't good enough. Why'd you take it? And then you're out the door, and the athletic director revolving door, and you get somebody who's of your own, and you chase them out. And there's that suspicion, I think is the good word. When you come in from out of town, there's a suspicion. Like for myself, I don't think that I could have come and moved right into radio until I had had over a decade of my name being out there in print and doing as many TV appearances, as many guest hosting experiences, as many segment appearances. I mean, I never said no because this is the job that I wanted, and it was all a scheme to get it, which is the reasons why I buddied up to Gordon and Locke.
It's a plan more than a scheme.
I don't really
think,
particularly like either guy.
Sure.
But they helped me by me buddying up to him. I mean, that was my plan. It was literally my plan. And I think I would have been viewed far more skeptically if I had just come in. Because we've had radio guys who were very good, and they come in and they don't, and then they leave.
Took the words right out of my mouth.
Yeah.
And there were a couple of them, we talked to them at the time. That person's really good, and if they stayed here 5 years or 8 years or whatever, they could really get it and they could really excel, and we both agreed there's no way they're going to do that. And they have gone on, and they've had good careers, and they've worked good places and made good money, covered good games, but not here. They've gone elsewhere.
When you bring in an outsider, and I've said this a million times, if the coach has young kids, those kids will have the school logo painted on their face. And they know nothing about that. All they know is they got to move and they got to say goodbye to their friends. And now they're supposed to be diehard, fill in the blank, whatever. It's ridiculous. No, it's not. And then they leave, and that's it. So there's all sorts of suspicion, and I get why the fan base would say, wait a second, does he know? If he doesn't hate these guys the way I hate them, that's wrong. He needs to hate them. I hate Ohio State more than Kyle does, and I've hated him for decades. And I'll go to my grave hating him. It's the only hate I have in my heart, outside of when you do things that drive me nuts.
Does Kyle deserve to be questioned? Yes. The media should ask that question because it's a question the fans desperately want answered. Now, is whatever answer Kyle gives appropriate? Should it be tolerated? Should it be loved? Should it be embraced? You can generate all that, or you can argue about all that, but you can't not ask the question. That's what everybody's talking about. Are you all in? Do you want what we want? And the truth is, what I think they want is they really want to win big, and
so
Kyle really wants to win big. So I think
that's the common denominator.
Yeah, and so I think given that, I think it can work out. You know, interesting that he says year 2. There is a history in college football that it takes 2 years, but it's new rules, so maybe expect it more quickly. But then it's to what level?
Yeah,
also.
I want to see what is down. Now, if he's in the college playoff and having success in year 2, then year 1 won't matter.
Yeah, back to Urban, right? Winning it all.
Yeah,
year 2.
But you look at their schedule, and I can only count 4 guaranteed wins.
Western Michigan in the opener, UTEP in the third game, Rutgers on Halloween, and you going UCLA?
Oh, I thought you were going to go Wang.
UCLA in game 11. Are those the 4 you've got?
And Wang.
When you stretched out I thought you were going Wang. I really thought
Dang, whap, wang.
And
thought-
Wang.
we were going to get a Wang reference, which, anytime I get a Wang reference, I'm okay with.
So is that your 4th, UCLA?
You first team all Wanger?
Don't lump me in with Riley.
Well, I have to. You use the word Wang.
He's a first team all whacker.
We came back from break when you were on vacation, and we were talking about Utah State, and I said, do you think they have any first team all Packers on that team? Well, I don't know about UC Los Angeles. Because,
Well, who's your 4th?
Well, I figured it's either Michigan or them. Michigan State, I mean. Excuse me. So if you want to include both, that's 5, which still isn't very good. That's not to say that they will lose all the other games, because I don't think they will. But this is a killer schedule. I mean, it's...
To be rotating through Indiana, Oregon, and Ohio State at the same time you put Oklahoma on the schedule.
Well, and I was going to be ranked.
Iowa's going to be a hard game, and she was right on the spot. Like, Iowa's defense makes every game a hard game. They're only going to give up 10 or 13 points. Now, you may well win 13-3.
Yeah,
but you never really pull away.
Right. We've been watching Iowa forever, and I'm a huge Iowa fan in terms of when they play these big teams. I think Iowa is one of the more underrated schools out there. I mean, they may not win, but they're going to play you tough.
Yeah.
And so you never know there. So yeah, that is really, really tough. What they have to go through. There's just zero. I mean, literally zero question about it. Right? I think so.
I also think some of these other games that look hard are also winnable. I don't think he's going to drop them all.
That's what I
think
said.
that stretch they've got with I think it actually starts with Iowa. Iowa at Minnesota, home to Penn State. All swing games. Penn State new coach. How quickly do they pull it together? Those 3 games, they could win any of them. They could lose any of them. Will they come out of it 2-1 or 3-0? I expect. But there's no gimmies there, and they might go 1-2 through that stretch. I wouldn't think so, but it could happen. And I think what she said about Bryce Underwood, a quarterback, how much is he going to pick up the offense, especially the passing portion of the offense? That Dampier, he doesn't have the strongest arm, but that guy, and I think they really appreciated about him, and most of them had the advantage. It was his second year in the offense.
Who?
He was it for Dampier because he and the coordinator, Beck, were at New Mexico together for year 1. So Kyle didn't see, he was told about it, I'm sure, but he didn't day-to-day live through Dampier figuring that out. Year 2, Dampier comes in, and it's just a different deal. He's got way more experience, and all they said, both on camera and off, like his decision-making, just excellent. Like he made reads, he made the right reads, he made them very quickly, just A's and A pluses for grading all that stuff out. And it makes the offense hum, and it puts the defense in a really bad spot. Now, if you're hesitating, you're a second late with the read, you're a second late with the throw, you're still processing all of this, you could be good and not be Dampier. He's got a real knack for it, plus he's in his second year and you're in your first year, so there's that also. Now, how's he going to handle that?
Well,
and can they simplify it and make it easier for him and not do everything they did with Dampier?
Kenny Dillingham describes it literally using these words: bleep hits the fan. I mean, he'll say that in interviews.
Yeah.
Because they've got a quarterback competition, right? So they've been asking him, well, you blah, 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 but you really don't know until bleep hits the fan. And especially with these quarterbacks, because they're so dominant in high school and all this other stuff, and they get this 5-star ranking because they're so superior in high school.
Right.
Yeah, and like Anthony Richardson, he must have been like Taysom Hill in high school, and playing wherever he played from, but I never felt like he was a good enough quarterback. I don't need my quarterback to overwhelm you athletically. He's got to, and this is the way the game is played today, particularly at the college level. You've got to be nimble for sure, but I don't necessarily think you need to be overwhelming athletically. I don't think Cam Rising was overwhelming athletically. I don't think Bear Bachmeier is overwhelming athletically, but they can be effective. I don't think Tyler Huntley was overwhelming athletically, but they can be extremely effective with the knowledge and the experience. And I came back from that Florida game saying, yeah, he's an unbelievable athlete, but I wouldn't take him at quarterback. And now he's proven he's not a starting quarterback. I wonder if that's what we're going to see with Underwood. I don't have enough knowledge in terms of following Underwood. I will, because I intend to watch Michigan as much as possible this year, because I think our listeners want to know what we think and all that stuff. So I have doubts about that. Now, I did watch the freaking stupid spring game, but it's spring, so I don't want to go too crazy.
Was he wearing a different colored jersey? Could he get hit? Because that's part of bringing...
Well, the other kid, the Notre Dame quarterback's brother, looked really good. But that's like saying, oh my gosh, Carson Beck, man, in that Hall of Fame game, look out. The next Kurt Warner. You can't go crazy there. But I wonder how good he's going to be, and is there going to be an issue there? And the fact that Kyle's an outsider. No, this ain't Utah anymore. How many times are we going to hear that? And every time we hear that, it's going to upset me. Tim Brando said, well, he's going to have a different caliber. We had pros at Utah. We have NFL guys. We've got stars in the NFL who played at Utah.
I bet we can go back and find Tim Brando saying that about Urban Meyer, and then Urban Meyer wins it all, and he's a great coach, and everybody forgets that you said a year ago, well, it's not Utah anymore.
But I wonder if there's a struggle or when this isn't Utah, which is going to make me go nuts.
There will be a struggle, and it will be said.
Which is stupid.
Because to me, the top shelf, we were talking the bottom with Angelique, what's reasonable, and she's like 8, maybe 7, 8. Like, to me, if they knock it out of the park, 10-2. I can't visualize 11-1 or 12.
Take that right now.
Yeah, I can't. I don't see there's any way they're getting to 11-1 or 12-0 with this schedule. No,
12-0.
No.
They freaking build a statue, move over Big Bo.
They're not doing 11-1 or 12-0. 10-2 is absolute.
The Whittingham Athletic Center.
Absolute top shelf is 10-2.
Whittingham Field at the Big House.
Which that would be the whack, ironically enough.
I do think Oklahoma. See, it'll just come full circle.
He's a first-team all-whacker.
I do think that Oklahoma game is massive because they may well come in with, they had an excellent half a team last year. Now, mature, healthy, and maybe the offense takes a step forward and they're a more complete team. But Oklahoma comes in at home with an iffy offense, and Kyle has a good defense. And Oklahoma's D was really good last year. I don't know how much they'll fall off there. But if they could get that one, good start, buy some time, some good feelings, some good vibes, because Michigan fans are going to walk into that game very curious. Butterflies in the stomach, the first big test.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
So can you get one? That one is winnable. It's difficult, but I think it could be winnable. Now maybe Mateer is, next in the line of Heisman Trophy winners, and he had some health issues last year. He's had another year.
Charles Atlas, have you seen his body?
I have not.
Oh, they've been running around showing pictures of the dude, yeah.
Gives me something to do during the break. Thank you, PK.
Yeah. He looks, wow, he's really beefed up.
When we come back, an ethical dilemma that caught your eye, PK. What would people do? What have they done in this situation? Stay with us.
Welcome to This is Jay Scott and Ben Anderson.
Honestly, this is uncharted territory for Utah. Other than Witt like to change his offensive coordinator every 45 minutes, we have not seen a switch at head coach for Utah, hardly ever. They are the Pittsburgh Steelers of college football. Kind of had a couple of coaches, and they've all stepped in and been very successful.
I think Morgan probably will try and find the sweet spot in being a little bit more aggressive. If he tries to go full Mike Leach on it, Utah's going to learn some painful lessons. But
there's more room for error than Whit thought.
There is, and I think
In a good way.
And we saw that in the bowl game. Deep down, Whit is a soccer coach, and I don't think that Morgan is a soccer coach. And when I say that, I mean like, oh, you've got a 1-0 lead. Well, let's sit on that thing.
Yep.
Let's anchor it. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Love that strategy.
Catch Jake and Ben afternoons from 2 to 6 on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
DJ PK, it's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. PK, it caught your eye earlier this week. Cheating in a golf tournament. How could such a thing happen at the local club?
Yeah, but this is outrageous level of cheating.
Taking strokes off?
No. He said he had a hole-in-one.
Put the ball there, and then I got to go return a call.
You can't cheat on a hole-in-one.
Apparently you can. You're also going to get caught. Turns out there's cameras everywhere these days.
How could anybody live with themselves if you cheated on a hole-in-one? I got a hole-in-one.
He's now resigned from the club.
He would have been thrown out.
Zach Holland, who played college golf, and this is a St. Louis area story. There's a membership event at the Winghaven Country Club. I mean, you really plan it out. That isn't the foot wedge because there's a root there. I mean, this is like...
Right.
He was... he played the first 3 holes, and then he told his playing partners he needed to make a personal phone call, allegedly regarding his mortally ill grandmother. Well, they played the 4th hole.
And she's probably fine.
In order to keep up, you have experience with similar stories. In order to keep up with pace of play, he told the group, well, I'll just tee off on number 4, and then I'll meet you up on the green. When he reunited with his group, Holland said he told his partners he thinned his tee shot, but did not see where the ball ended up.
And it ended up in the hole.
The group found the ball in the cup. However, security footage reviewed by the Winghaven staff showed Holland driving near the 4th green well before his scheduled tee time. And he admitted he faked the hole-in-one and resigned his membership.
You can't fake a hole-in-one.
Later on, he did say the right thing. There's no excuse for what I did, and I was completely in the wrong. There's really no motivation, just complete stupidity, and we're giving 2 shots back to the field, and that's not an excuse. There's no excuse for what happened.
There isn't. I'm okay with a little cheat here and there. But a hole-in-one?
I made a bad decision, and I have to suffer the consequences, he said.
You remember this name, Yock? Bob Jensen, quarterback at BYU in the 80s?
Yes, I do.
So I know him a little bit, and I've golfed with him. And he was telling me he was down in St. George at Ledges, and it's hole 10, 11, 12. Beautiful, right overlooking Snow Canyon. It's a par 3. He said he was out there one afternoon. I think it was in the summer or whatnot. And he's by himself. And he drops it in. And he's thinking, oh, great. Nobody saw it. No one's going to believe me. But there's some homes there, really beautiful with the unbelievable Snow Canyon view. And he said he got up there, and there was a guy on his deck, which faces the course. Hey, congratulations. He said, if I ever need it.
If I need a witness, you're my guy.
I'm coming back to you.
Yeah, so he had a witness. You can't do that. There's a dilemma. My neighbor told me he's got a place up in Wyoming, and he was up there golfing, and he had a hole-in-one, but it was the second ball. Now, that's a dilemma. Does that count as a hole-in-one? Technically, it's a par, but still, is it a hole-in-one?
No.
But if you did it, the answer would be yes.
No.
You wouldn't
And
count
I
as a
forget. I don't remember if he chunked his ball or he might have been by himself or just decided he was going to hit another
Yeah,
one.
he said a second. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
Well, I was playing you one day, and you saw me knock one OB. It was just a terrible swing. Opened up, put it in bushes, 45 yards forward. And the second one, I hit right over the flag and then made the putt. Was that a bogey or was that a birdie? Again, it was second ball.
It's the second ball. It's not a bird. If you're
Well, I scored a bogey. It was a lost ball because the ball went into.
If you're out on your own or just
and we
with your
were,
buddies,
we weren't
who
in a
cares?
tournament, right?
Yeah, a tournament. How about this? A COVID hole-in-one.
I get it. That's where you got that thing on the cup, and if you hit the cup, because we didn't really have a reach in the cup and all that stuff.
There's
I have
a thing that sits about an inch or so above.
Yeah. I've got two buddies who
that does speed up pace of play, though.
it does, but I have two buddies who claim COVID hole-in-ones because they did it. They hit it hit the green, it rolled over, pinged off of it, and
I guess my wife did that.
Pinged it?
Yeah, at Old Mill. I'm sure she did it because I actually was walking up the fairway and she was back at the tee, and I saw the ball and it's going, and then all of a sudden it turns on an angle. And the only way it would have done that
is if it hit it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then the argument is, well, was it going so fast that it would have, hit the hole and spun out or bounced out or whatever? Or did it just barely nick the edge and it would have rolled right on by?
Well, we'll never know.
Right.
I believe that she has a COVID hole-in-one, and it's as legitimate as the Lakers winning the COVID NBA title.
Aha!
So in other words, it's not.
Except nobody says LeBron has 3 titles. They all say he has 4, so it seems to be counting.
You can count it all you want. I don't care. And that's not nobody. You just called me a nobody.
Eric Pincus, national NBA writer for Bleacher Report, joins us next. The sale of the Lakers, what does it mean? DJ and PK, we got tickets to give away to see the Utah Royals. We'll do it right now. 5-pack of tickets if you want to go out and watch the Royals. And Bay FC, they play Friday night at America First Field. Caller 12 right now, 801-575-ZONE. 801-575-ZONE. You got to see the Utah Royals and Bay FC Friday night. Call now.